Hey everybody, Shane here. Let me tell you about my friends at Naked Vine, located at 1624 Clarkson Road in Chesterfield, Missouri, serving up all your favorite wine, whiskey, and local craft beers. Stop by and visit them Thursday, December 20th for some live music from Kevin Babb. Friday, December 21st, Pat Liston. And Saturday, December 22nd, the Scandaleros. I'll be back out there on January 8th with my singer-songwriter storytelling showcase, bringing along my good friends Cara Louise, Cree Ryder, and Drew Schaefer for that one. So do not miss that show. 7 p.m. start, $5 at the door. Full listing of events and everything happening at Naked Vine can be found at nakedvine.net. Be sure to follow along with them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the show.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
Hey, how's it going? This is Zach Sullentrup from Tidal Volume, and you are listening to the Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast, y'all.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out today with Zach Sullentrup.
How's it going?
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Yeah, than's for having me.
This is cool, man. I'm glad to be here. Glad to officially get to meet you and talk. We've been friendly online for a little while now, and I saw you play Tidal Volume. Played with Ludo a little bit ago. I got to watch you guys play. I didn't get a chance to talk that night, but I thought this would be fun to get to know a little bit more about you and the band and everything you guys got going on. And then that's what's kind of fun about this show is it gives me a chance to sit down with some people I'm interested in their music and everything. Get to know a little bit more about them in a nice quiet setting where we can hang out and chat instead of at a concert or whatever. So.
Yeah, no, it's great. I know. Instead of yelling over the merch table, it's better to do it this way. Yeah, thanks for coming by. We're hanging out in my living room with my two dogs right now, so no complaints.
Nice little Sunday afternoon here.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that, man. That was a wild night, huh?
Yeah, those were some crazy shows. So I'm in this band Tidal Volume. For those of you who don't know, we've been a band for since 2010, so we're going on over 8 years at this point, and those were our two biggest shows to date. We opened, Ludo did two kind of reunion one-night-only shows at the pageant in October, and we were lucky enough to get to open not just one, but both of them in the same night. They were both sold out at the pageant. We'd done the pageant one time before. We'd certainly never done the pageant sold out, and certainly not twice in the same night. Right. So it was definitely put us out of our element in terms of what we're used to. Like, we've gotten to do some cool bigger shows before, occasionally here and there, but nothing like that. And we also grew up huge Ludo fans, so just on that alone, it was really crazy to get to open for a band that meant so much to us at a venue that we grew up going to.
Yeah.
And then doing it twice in the same night was just unreal.
Right. Yeah, back to back. Did you do the same set for both performances? Or?
We did roughly the same set. I think we did the exact same set. We were talking about changing on a song just to keep it fresh, but we ended up just being I worked the first time. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. I
went to the early show. So it was pretty wild, though, to come out of that and then see another line of fans all dressed up and ready to go for another show.
Yeah, it was nuts. There were fans there from probably 2 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon hanging out to get into the show. So yeah, it was nuts. It was a long day. It was, I think, the longest day we've done as a band. But it was pretty cool. Yeah,
and I think that was my first time seeing Ludo. Maybe a Point Fest thing or something like that. I don't know if they've done anything like that. But
yeah, I think they did a Point Fest or two back in the day, but the last time they played St. Louis, I think it was 2011.
Right.
I was a junior in high school, I want to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a minute, or maybe 2010. It's been a while.
But that was just so much fun to see them and seeing them just get, especially in their skeleton costumes and all that, whatever, just having fun with it and just it was a really good time. I've become friendly with Tim Convey through comedy. And of recent years, and I hang out there a lot of Funny Bone, and so got become buddies with him, and
So that was sort of my reintroduction back to Ludo once I started talking to him and stuff. So
Yeah.
but I had a buddy. He's a huge fan, and he came in from lives like in Idaho, and came in traveling for business, and ended up stopping in St. Louis and got to go to the show and stuff. So he was pumped about that. And
yeah, people came in from like everywhere.
Right.
It was nuts. It's funny because like now we like incidentally have fans kind of all over the nation, and you know. We have people like here and there, but like now we have like people who are like, come to Texas, come to like Maine, and I'm like, Maine, like, all right, I'd love to. But it's funny because Ludo fans, they definitely are all over, and they're die hard. They don't mess around. So we had people, coming to the merch table who were like, we love you so much. Like, do you ever tour? And we were like, well, we're trying to more, but not right now. Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
Well, that's a good problem to have, though.
Definitely a good problem to have.
And that's the people are excited about you coming to their town now.
Yeah, I know. And we're trying to do more of that next year, hopefully. But it's funny, I get messages that are like, come to Philadelphia, come to San Francisco. And I'm like, we'd really, really love to. Yeah. We'd really love to. So if you have any friends that would come out, like, let us know. We'll make it your way.
There's kind of a running joke among some of my friends that are more in the modern rock scene, and I guess there's a guy that's like a big fan of a lot of their music that keeps writing them on Facebook and stuff that says "Come to Brazil."
Yeah.
And so like they always laugh like that, like that'd be cool, but how are we gonna do that? Like,
I think it's kind of become a meme, like the "Come to Brazil."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny, but it's tough when you're a smaller band because I think every smaller band would love to be going to Brazil or going across the ocean or even going across the country. But it's hard from like a financial standpoint.
Exactly, yeah.
All that kind of stuff. So it's always about like, making sure like if we're gonna do it, we have to make sure we're able to like break even and all that kind of stuff.
Especially as an independent artist, it's not having any of that financial backing and stuff. It's
right.
But yeah.
But it's always flattering when people are like, "Please come where I am."
Yeah, sure.
Like, we would love to.
Well, let's get into a little more. I want to get to know more about Zach. I guess growing up here in St. Louis. Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in the burbs with my brother, who's in Tidal Volume, and we met the rest of the guys in high school. I just met in West County, all good Catholic schoolboys. And we started the band when I was a junior, as was Andrew and Will, who were the bass and keyboard player. And then my brother, Matt, who plays drums, he was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
So he wasn't even driving yet when we started the band. And then Matt and I had been playing beforehand. We'd taken piano lessons together and guitar lessons together, and he eventually shifted to the drum kit. So we grew up. My parents, neither of my parents were musical, but they were very supportive, and it was very important to them that we were exposed to music. My dad was like a visual artist. He went to school for art and was a grade school art teacher for a while, and now is again actually after taking a different career path for a while. But they were always very supportive of us doing the arts, and I think they realized from a young age that Matt and I probably weren't going to be star athletes among our peers. So I think, they saw, like, we should probably expose them to things that could make them happier and be a good thing they could do outside of school. So we both did piano. I did it for almost 4 years. I think Matt made it to about 3 or so. And then I took guitar lessons, and that really clicked for me. And Matt took guitar too, and he liked it, but he always wanted to play drums. My mom wouldn't let us because our house was too small. And then we moved in the 8th grade, and he was like, "Mom, we have a bigger house now. You have to let me get the drum kit." And she was like, "I don't, but I will." So that's when we really started playing as more of a band and less just brothers kind of jamming and noodling around on guitars. But we had a rock band kit that Matt learned the drums really well on, because it does teach you rhythm to play rock band, I guess.
Right.
So he got really good at rock band, and he was like, "Mom, look how good I am at this. Let me get a drum kit." So we ended up getting one off Craigslist and all that. And then from there we just kind of started trying to play around a bit more. Matt and I played his friends' 8th grade graduation parties for snacks and things like that. We just kind of started playing wherever we could, and we played I think my sister's high school graduation party and goofy things like that. And then from there we started, I met friends in high school who were also musicians. Will, who plays piano, we met in a freshman drama class, and Andrew played racquetball with us. We all played racquetball, just met, which is hilarious. But so we all played racquetball together, and we were just kind of friends, and it just kind of naturally felt we all play instruments that are different and could together make a rock band, and Zach kind of is starting to write songs, so it just kind of fell together naturally. And we've just been going from there.
Yeah.
So
you took an act to writing pretty young then, I guess, in high school there, I guess?
Yeah, I think, I was always, a pretty creative kid, and I think I always really idolized musicians, and especially, frontmen. I loved, Rivers Cuomo, and I loved, from Weezer, and I loved Bruce Springsteen, and I loved a lot of those characters who were always, the frontmen who played guitar, but mainly just played like chords and then kind of wrote the songs. And those are always the guys that I like and kind of gravitated towards. So I think once we started doing the band, it was very natural that I was like, cool, I'm going to sing and play guitar and I'll be the one who writes the songs. So I think once I started taking guitar lessons and I learned enough chords, I think I started kind of playing around with writing songs. I know there's a notebook somewhere around my house that's just like full of garbage songs I wrote in the 6th and 7th grade. And then once I got to high school, I think I started taking it a little bit more seriously and like learning more about it instead of just kind of regurgitating 4-chord songs. But yeah, the earliest Tidal Volume songs were written probably when I was a freshman in high school or sophomore in high school.
Nice.
So
you listen to Howard Stern's show at all?
I'm aware of it. I'm not a big fan, but
right. I've been listening for probably 15 years or something now. I got after graduation and I started working a construction job for a little bit, and that was finally up early enough and not going to school that I could sit and listen to it. And so then it was on FM then, and now of course I listen to it on satellite. But I was thinking when you said there's that old notebook from some of your songs and stuff, like he actually he used to write some stuff when he was a kid and like wrote the songs and I think there's like a really early recording because he recorded everything too because his dad was in radio, so there's like a really early recording of him like as a young boy playing the song silver nickels and something dime or whatever something like that. Anyway, but what was funny is they took that song and he's kind of a goof on it and like, but he actually got like Jewel came on the show and performed that song that he wrote when he was like 10, 11, whatever. And so it's just interesting that it's like, and it actually sounded really good. Like that's what was funny about the song. Like Jewel made it sound like a hit song and stuff. Right. So I was just thinking about that. Like when you said that, like it'd be interesting to somebody take your notebook and figure out one of those songs and maybe do a version of it now or something like that.
Yeah, at some point I like to crack them open and just see, but it's like going through my notebooks, it's like I always want to go back and like see if there are old songs that are worth recovering.
Right.
But I think the fun thing about playing music is like playing something that's very like urgent to you now, and
yep.
I always say like if a song isn't stuck in your head, like it's not the one that you need to be coming back to, like it's the thing that you keep like singing back to yourself is the one the band needs to learn and need to go with. So yeah. But yeah, it's funny. Every couple of years, we'll go through like my old notebooks or go through like I do a lot of voice memos on my phone of songs. We'll go through those and see what still has lasting power. And
yeah,
it's always funny to like go all the way back and be like, you guys gonna do this one again? This really bad one about absolutely nothing. But it's fun. I mean, I think there's this kind of assumption that people who are really great songwriters are just born that way, and they're just born like musical geniuses who write really great songs off the bat. But man, I think like every great songwriter probably had at least a couple years of just being absolute garbage at their craft. So you really have to just let yourself grow and get better and keep looking forward.
Yeah, I think my buddy Joe, he's been really working hard to kind of make it as a songwriter and stuff. They've been doing some stuff with some Nashville writers and things, and he asked somebody like what some advice, and he's like, well, you're gonna write 100 bad songs before you ever write a good one, so like just keep writing, so
yep.
So that was kind of that's kind of what his he's feel like everybody's kind of going through that path where you got to get enough of these bad ones out of the way and then finally start getting good at this thing. So
yep. Yeah, I feel like I've been writing songs for I feel like almost 12 years now probably, and I feel like I'm just getting to a point where I like really like the kind of things that I'm writing, and I'm really starting to like think I'm okay at it. Maybe I should keep doing this.
Sure.
So it takes a minute, and I think it comes naturally to some people. I think in some ways it's even come naturally to me, but it's still like that very slow grind and just slowly improving and, making something, reflecting on it, figuring out we can do better next time and going back and doing it again is kind of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But,
well, I totally relate even with doing this show. Like, I've done 600 something of these, and I joke about it a lot that I was like, I think I'm finally getting the hang of this thing. Like, finally starting to figure out what I'm doing with this show. And
oh yeah, do you ever go back and listen to the old ones?
Yeah, they're pretty rough.
Yeah,
and especially for me, like to, I didn't know anything what I was doing. The early stuff I did with my buddy Chris when we started the show, but I feel like we didn't know anything about what we were doing. We were just kind of bought a mic. We're gonna have some fun with some friends and record and so, I think there's definitely some really good stuff in there, but like as far as for my personal growth. I listen back to those and I'm like, man, that sounds awful. And
Yeah.
I'm like, compared to what I'm doing today, where it sounds a little less awful.
Yeah.
So
I think it's natural though, to look at like your old stuff and be
Right.
like, oh, that was bad. Like,
Yeah.
ugh,
Sure.
gross. Because it's kind of nice to like listen to like the first Tidal volume release that we did.
Yeah.
Like we did a 2-song demo and then we did a 6-song EP that we don't really push anymore. But it's fun to listen to those and be like, oh, this was like where I started. Like this was like my first attempt at like being a band.
That's what I think is neat, is that it's documented progress. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you can go back. Yeah, you may not be as proud of that, but it's where we started, and now we look at what we're doing now. And it's like it's fun to track that growth as you're continue to keep doing this and stuff.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah, whenever a band has like a really acclaimed like debut album, it's like, oh, they did so well in their
Yeah.
first try. It's like, well, that first try was probably not anyone in the band's first try at like
Right.
making music. Like I'm sure there were like records before that with their bands, or there was music that is no longer available.
Sure.
For whatever reason, it's so hard to do it amazing the first time if you've never had that experience, because there's so much you have to learn.
Well, imagine and the how many bands have crumbled afterwards, had the pressure to put a second record out that's as good as that debut and stuff too.
Right.
Like that's the thing. You get like I don't know what it is. Somebody's saying like that, like where you've got unlimited time to put out your first record, and then afterwards it's the second one is the
heat is on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man. Well, we do have a couple of things out there for Tidal Volume. You guys have you said the older EP, but you also have Icing, the newer EP available everywhere, right? Digitally.
Yeah, Icing and Modern Anxiety are our 2 most recent EPs. Those are the ones we're the most proud of. And yeah, those are available across all streaming platforms and online digital platforms, Bandcamp, wherever you normally go for music, it's probably there.
Yeah.
And then we're working on some new stuff right now that'll be out in the new year. So.
Well, you can come out. We do have a big date coming up on December 28th at Blueberry Hill. You can come see Tidal Volume there with the Hoodie Life, the Sigmund Frauds, and Young Animals.
Yep. Yeah, it's an awesome lineup. All pals of ours. The Hoodie Life's from Chicago. So it'll be a cool show. It'll be a lot of fun. We do a holiday show every year, and we have some new decorations this year, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah.
So.
And $12 tickets get you in. I think we're currently on. Are those on Ticketmaster?
Yep, they're on Ticketmaster on the Duck Room website.
Yeah, well, check that out. Come on out to that show. So you guys, you said you got it all. You're gonna go all out with decorations for the holiday stuff.
We're going all out.
Yeah.
I think I can say this now, but Ludo is giving us their old holiday decorations.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to be using some of those, and then we've always decorated the stage and always tried to make it really festive and fun.
Yeah.
We usually try to do 1 or 2 big headlines a year. This is the only one we're doing this year though, so we're trying to make up for lost time and go balls to the walls with it. So it'll be fun, and yeah, we'll have the stage covered in all sorts of decorations.
Do you do any like holiday songs, or is it?
We usually do at least a holiday cover or 2 a year. So it's heavy with like our original music, but then we'll throw in a holiday song or 2, and
Right.
we'll have holiday music playing as the house music and all that kind of stuff. So it's a fun event.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. That again, the 28th over at Blueberry Hill down in the Del Mar Loop. So. I also noticed you guys picked up, along with the Ludo shows, you guys ended up picking up another pageant date a little bit ago too, with Mountain Joy.
Yeah, we got to open for Mountain Joy. Just this, I guess, a week or 2 ago at the pageant. It was great. The Revivalists were the big ho-ho show scheduled for that Saturday night. And Mountain Joy was supposed to be the opener, and then the Revivalists had a sickness in the band and couldn't make it to St. Louis. So I think they were trying to scramble last minute to still do something for Mountain Joy and still do something for everyone who's trying to come out. So they ended up just having Mountain Joy play at the pageant and did a free show, and they threw us on. I got a call at noon on Saturday that was like, "Hey, can you play this? Let us know in 5 minutes."
Right.
And then like within the half an hour that was announced, and we were promoting it. So
that's pretty wild, man. I gotta definitely right place at the right time, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot of we've just learned the importance of like knowing people and always being open to opportunities.
Sure.
And
well, yeah, I mean, you guys delivered on the Ludo show and make a great impression with them and everything too. So, it helps to definitely networking is a big part of that.
Yeah, networking's big. I mean, I don't think it's. I think it's pretty well known that in the music business, on the business side especially, it's a lot about who you know.
Yeah.
And I think we've just tried to do a good job of like always being helpful, and when we're given opportunities, saying please and thank you, and always being as easy to work with as we can be, so that people want to have us back.
Yeah. But yeah, very cool. Well, we did do some live jamming today here in the living room, and I love this kind of stuff. I love the singer-songwriters, storytelling aspect of it all, and so I was hoping maybe we'd share some stories around some of these songs. You said the first one we played was "Phone Calls Home."
Yes,
and,
that was one that was on our Icing EP. I've been playing that one. That's one of my favorite Tidal Volume songs that we've been doing for a pretty long time now. It's one I wrote like when I was going away to college, and I was kind of nostalgic, thinking about like moving out of my parents' house and leaving all my friends behind, and I just went to Columbia, 2 hours away. But it was it was a weird time in my life where I was very reflective, and I was writing a lot about like those kinds of things. So that was when I wrote kind of about my parents and my relationship growing up with them.
Yeah.
Let me in, let me go. I think I finally lost control. Like the time I drove your car into a wall. Give it up, but give it back. I'm on the verge of another panic attack, and none of my friends ever answer when I call. But I can't see straight. That's everything we are. The signs are written in big block letters, but they still just seem so far. And we spent all our weekends in that parking lot back home. You couldn't stand me, and I can't stand to be alone. No, no. Take me back and take my hand and need a way to understand the meaning behind every single word you said. We'll learn to love, then learn to die. I'd really like to see you try to make sense of all these thoughts that fly through my head, and I can't believe it. But I've fallen out of faith, and you never liked my band. It always kept me in my place, and we spent all our weeknights in that coffee shop down the street. And I never made you proud, but you were still so proud of me, so I think. In that parking lot, my dad taught me to drive, but in the streets we killed to feel alive. And through my father's love I learned to build a home. I never would have made it on my own, on my own. On my own. And I can't see straight, but that's everything we are. The signs are written in big block letters, but they still just seem so far. And we spent all our weekends in that parking lot back home. You couldn't stand me, and I can't stand to be alone. So let me go. You let me let me go. Oh.
Cool. So you said Mizzou?
Mizzou, yeah. Yeah, most of our band went to Mizzou, so we were kind of a Columbia band 8 months a year for a while there.
Yeah, I got quite a few friends up there that they live there now. But I've been doing a lot of traveling up there for doing some podcasts up there in Columbia as well. So it's kind of been fun to tap in. I mean, they have a great music scene up there now too. So.
They have a cool little healthy music scene going on. You know, the venues there do a really good job of kind of keeping local artists involved, and you know they've always been good about trying to give us opportunities, opening for bigger national acts or putting together really cool, interesting bills that are local acts. So we've always loved playing, especially at Rose Music Hall.
Yeah.
It's a venue we've always loved getting to spend time up there.
Great spot, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to see some really cool shows in that room, and then one of them in particular I think was fun was this group, the Rival Sons, that I like. And they played there on their headlining, and then the next day they were opening for Sammy Hagar at Verizon. So,
awesome.
Which was, it's kind of crazy to think about going from a small club room to playing a sold out amphitheater. So
yeah, that's nuts. I mean, that kind of stuff happens though.
Right.
You know, you luck into stuff or things just fall in your lap and you just keep doing it. So
yeah, but yeah, that's what do you when you're up there? Was it? What's your favorite pizza place up there?
I'm a big Shakespeare's person, which I know is kind of the cliche, but
it's good though, man.
Their pizza's great. I went to their bar a lot in college because it was always very cheap. There's the Stag and Pickles, which they're kind of known for. I've had many a Stag and Pickle in my day. But yeah, no, we when we're up there, we usually go to Shakespeare's. We usually go to Logboat, get beers, that kind of stuff. Whoa. Someone's car's going off. But yeah, no, it's always fun to go back to Columbia because we definitely hit our spots and see some friends we don't get to see that often and those kinds of things.
Sure.
So.
There's Gumby's.
Gumby's Pizza, yeah.
That's pretty good stuff too. But
Gumby's is good.
I'm a big Shakespeare fan myself too. So
yeah, it's a very unique pizza. I feel like there aren't a lot of others exactly like it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I like the Tarkio Farm Girl. It's a pretty solid pizza up there. So
yeah, so it's good. We
made that trip several times, especially when they do. I think we went to see the Urge up there outside of the Blue Note on the 7th Street concert series, and we picked up a Shakespeare's pizza and then just sat out there and listened to sound check and eating pizza and waiting for the show. And it was a fun day, man.
That's a classic Columbia day right there. Yeah, love that.
But that's a neat town, man. I like going up there a lot. So like I said, I live out in Wentzville, so it's only an hour or so from me.
Yeah,
so
that's not bad.
Yeah, so I run up there a lot for concerts, just because, depending on who's coming to St. Louis or Columbia or whatever. Right. Sometimes the tours hit different stops and.
Yeah, it's funny being in Missouri because some things will hit Kansas City and then St. Louis and miss Columbia, and sometimes things will just hit Columbia and then miss Kansas City and St. Louis, and it's always funny how those routings go. Yeah. But yeah, there have definitely been times when when I was in Columbia, I would go to St. Louis or KC for shows, or when I was in St. Louis going to Columbia for shows and stuff like that. So,
yeah. Well, let's drop in another one here. This song, it says you said it was currently unreleased. Maybe we might be hearing it next year.
Yeah, we've been playing it live for a minute. This one's called "It Gets Me High." But yeah, this will hopefully be out in the first part of the next year.
Yeah, is that you guys working on? Is that you're thinking for another EP or a full length, or what do you?
We haven't totally decided yet. Yeah. I think we're gonna start by just getting a couple songs down on tape and then figuring out where to go with them from there, whether we do singles or an EP. Probably not a full length for now. I think we really like working in the EPs when we can, and then we might just do some singles. We haven't really decided yet, so we're kind of feeling it out.
Sure. It's interesting that whole conversation today, because everybody's having that. Everybody's trying to figure out what's best for them. I mean, we kind of gotten away from the days of the full length records, and everybody, there seems to be a lot more EPs or singles, like you're saying, because that's how music's consumed more today.
If you're pressing vinyl, if you're going to press 12 inches and you have a record label paying for your studio time, absolutely do a full length. Right. But for us, it's every dollar kind of counts. So when we go into the studio, our mentality is a little more quality over quantity, and instead of doing 12 decent songs, instead do those couple really good ones, get them tight,
the bangers,
do them how you want it. Yeah, get the bangers tight, and like get them how you want them instead of like compromising across the board. But I think we realized that pretty early on, like, you know, maybe it's just better as a small band, as a local band, a regional band, whatever you are, to kind of just focus on like getting those couple songs right.
Well, and I feel like too that you know, you could still put out a 12-track record or whatever, and I'm gonna be like, okay, great, that was fun. When's the next one?
Right.
And if you put out an EP, 4 or 5 songs, whatever, and then you like, okay, when's the next one? Well, you could put out another one. You know, the rest of that, you know, split it into 2, and you're constantly putting out fresh new material all the time and stuff. So, so that's kind of what I think too is kind of nice about that. Like, it kind of helps break it up because people, with so much music out there today and everything, people can easily forget about you. You know, so it's nice to stay current and fresh and like keep hitting them with new music all the time. So
yeah, and you know, we're also in a playlist world where people are listening to like maybe they're picking out 1 or 2 songs they love and throwing them on their heavy rotation playlist they listen to at work or on the way to school or you know whatever it is. You know, people are consuming music differently, especially with smaller bands, so that they might be going out to buy like the new album from their favorite band in the world that's a huge, you know, success, but you know, for a smaller band, it's more about just like grabbing someone with that one song that might catch their attention and then get them to come to a show, and then, you know, you just kind of slowly give them music from there. So, but it's interesting, you know, you even see big bands just working in singles or just working in EPs every once in a while, and it's interesting because it hasn't always been that way. But I think the internet's obviously changed a lot, and I think it even affects, you know, the format of releases, because, you know, the reason that albums were the length they were for so long was because of the format they were delivered in. You know, it was the vinyl record, and then it was the CD, and you know, with the CD you only had 80 minutes of music, with the LP you only had so many grooves, right? So now we're in this world where you can release music in whatever format you want. If you want to put out a 50-song album, there's nothing stopping you, because it's just going to go on Spotify the same way a 2-song album would. So it's really interesting, but it does make it exciting in terms of getting to choose how you want, not just, you know, how you want to release music, but what quantity you want to release it in, those kinds of things, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I always do find it fun to see how people try to, you know, a new unique idea to figure out how the best way to sell their music out there and stuff. So, so it's always fun to see. You know, again, there's no right or wrong answer to any of this stuff. It's all
definitely
whatever works best for the band. But is there any story around He Gets Me High that you'd like to share? Or? Yeah,
so I think I had kind of a journey with discovering my own queerness throughout college, and I'm now comfortable with saying that I'm a queer man. So that was just kind of like me just kind of starting to explore that world and realizing I could be happy, you know, not just being with a woman, but being with a different, you know, a person of a different gender. So I wanted to write a really simple love song, and it actually started as She Gets Me High when I was first writing it, and I wanted to write a really simple love song, and I ended up just switching the pronouns, and the song kind of came out from there. So
yeah.
I'm not sure what you're going through, but you're as scared of me as I am of you. And I love when I'm with you, I hate when I'm not. I'm loving this fever, it gets me so hot, but I'm trying to be cool about that. Let's go out in the daylight, honey. Let's step out in the sun. 'Cause I didn't know that love could ever be this much fun. He gets me high, he gets me high. He gets me high, too high to drive. Too high to drive. I'm not sure why I act like this. And being with you is total bliss. But I don't say I'm sorry, I don't make amends. I wanna take you to parties, make you meet all my friends. I'm trying to be better about that. Let's step out in the streets now, honey. Let's get out of the woods, 'cause I'm having more fun than I ever thought I could. He gets me high, he gets me high. He gets me high, too high to drive. He gets me high, he gets me high. He gets me high, too high to drive. And I'm so fucking nervous, I shake when I talk. Tramps like us are born to run, but I can hardly walk, so I lay on the floor. Don't go anywhere, I wish you'd lay with me and play with my hair. Why'd you ask me about what I meant when I said I love you to death, or at least till it's dead? 'Cause we know this won't last, honey, that's how it goes. But I'll sing to you now and at every show. He gets me high, he gets me high. He gets me high, too high to drive. He gets me high, he gets me high. He gets me high, too high to drive. Too high to drive.
I do find that really interesting, how a song can just switching pronouns sometimes can totally change a different. It's like I often like when like a male covers a female song or vice versa, and change it, and how like it now it has a completely different context, meaning it's the same lyrics, but now everything has a totally different feel to it compared to.
Right.
So it's interesting how like one letter, even.
But then you also have like Michael Bublé changing the song to Santa Buddy to not sound like he's has a crush on Santa. So it's really funny though, because you'll see that where it's like, you can just change pronouns around or shift pronouns around in a song, and it totally changes the feel and the meaning. Because I was stuck with this. I had this chorus like, she gets me high, for so long that I was like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, it's just a very boring, like, simple kind of sentiment. And then I was like, well, if you change the pronoun, it makes it a bit more complex, and it changes my relationship to it as a writer, and it just kind of came naturally from there.
Yeah, man.
So
that I really enjoy that kind of stuff, though. Like I said, I like the behind the scenes of songwriting. It's something I'm really interested in, and I someday I hope to, write something of my own. I don't know when or what, and nothing's really inspired me yet to sit and when I need to write this, but that's it's kind of a bucket list thing for me. Someday, hopefully, I'll be able to write and record a song, or have somebody record it or whatever. So
all it takes is a melody and a couple chords. It doesn't take a lot to get started. So.
Yeah. My problem is I'm such a fan of all this music, so like when I do ever try to think about wanting to write something or get something, and it's like, everybody else's lyrics just start coming out of my head. It's like, oh, that's already been done, and so it's hard for me to shut that off and actually write something original. And so
it's definitely a big part of being a songwriter for me has been finding like a unique voice and figuring out how to be authentic to myself while still being approachable and kind of somewhat universal, and be able to be related to, and not be totally selfish in the way I write songs, but also not be totally anonymous where you couldn't pick out that's Zach's song. So that's always kind of the compromise and the push and pull with writing songs.
Yeah, for sure. You along with Tidal Volume, you also been doing a lot of things solo, just under your name, and you recently went on your world tour, right?
Yeah. So Tidal Volume's done some regional stuff. We've played Chicago, we've played KC and Columbia, and done some longer weekends. But I wanted to give doing a formal tour, in air quotes, a shot. So I just booked a week and a half long kind of jaunt around the Midwest that took me as far as Iowa and Minneapolis, and then came back through Wisconsin and Chicago and all that. It was fun. We're trying to do more touring in all the bands that I'm in, and more out-of-town shows, and doing more regional stuff, and then hopefully national stuff. So I kind of just want to do a test run, and I figured that doing solo would be an easy way to do it because then it was just me. No one else would be relying on me, or, you know.
Well, that's probably a great way, too, going back to networking, kind of hit a couple of these markets, put your foot in the door out, and like, hey, here's this, and then you can come back in 6 months with the band and say, you know,
right,
or whatever, so something like that.
Yeah, and that's the hope, is just we need to start slowly building out, you know, audiences in these different cities that we want to play more in, and then just kind of build from there. Because I think in 2018, a lot of making music is just kind of that slow build. It's just slowly grinding and slowly getting more people on your side and getting more people to know about your music and your work. And
I did really find it funny, though, that it was the Zach's World Tour of the Midwest.
World Tour of the Midwest.
Yeah, that was pretty clever.
Yeah, we try to do goofy stuff with our marketing here and there, because I think at a certain point when you're a local band, you just have to have fun with it and keep it, you know, you start a band because you enjoy it, because you like it, so it's fun to just keep it goofy and keep it light. And
was it literally just you, or do you have a friend or someone right around?
It was just me for most of it. I play solo as well as Zach Sullentrup, and I have a new band we've been working on called Zach Sullentrup and Fears. It's a couple friends, and it's kind of a songwriter-y, just different approach to music than Tidal Volume is. So we did St. Louis, KC, and Columbia as a group, and then I went up from Columbia and did Iowa and Minneapolis solo and all that, and they went back to St. Louis. So we had 3 shows with the band, and then I went up and did, I guess, a handful more, a week more on my own, which was, I don't know if I would do that again. It was fun, and I got to meet a lot of people, and a couple of the shows definitely made it worth it. But it got lonely in the car, definitely, because you're kind of on your own, because I think, you know, being in a band is inherently weird, and weird things happen, and uncomfortable things happen, and when you don't have a team there also experiencing it with you, you can just feel kind of like, is anyone else seeing this? Like, are you gonna see what's going on? Like, I had generally good shows, but I had a pretty thin show in Iowa City, and I played in this big room, and there weren't a lot of people there, and it was one of those experiences of like, wow, I just wish someone else who I'm friends with was here to like see how weird of a night this is for me, or for our music, or for us. So it was fun. I think, you know, doing band touring is more fun because you definitely have more people with you, and it's more people to be around and talk to and goof around with. But it was good. It was definitely a good first go at it. So
What'd you find yourself listening to? Do you put a playlist together for the road? Or?
Yeah, I was listening to some records. When I'm traveling, I love to listen to music made in the place I'm going to or the state I'm in. So in Minneapolis, I was listening to Prince and The Hold Steady and Husker Du, and Chicago, it's like Wilco and Fall Out Boy, and just kind of all over the place, just kind of listening to different albums and stuff. I like to listen to albums a lot. It's kind of my thing, but I'm sure I had a playlist going at times when I wasn't too concerned about what was playing on the car. But I listened to some podcasts that I've been, you know, just had in my queue, and listened to some albums. So
I'm a big fan of like especially like 90s pop, like all that's like, I listen to a lot of my 90s on 9, but like I love that just, you know, super cheesy, corny, you know, like especially like Ace of Base and Technotronic, and so I mean it's just fun for me. Like the one I think is probably that sense of nostalgia attached to it all, but it's just I have a lot of fun dancing and singing, especially on road trips to all those songs and stuff. So
I was definitely listening to some weird stuff, just kind of switching it up, you know, revisiting some old albums I hadn't heard in a while, and you know, some of it was like listening to albums that have been recommended to me by friends that I hadn't gotten around to yet. So there's always music to listen to. We're never at a loss for new stuff to check out. So
that's always a kind of a fun thing too, when you put on an old record that you haven't listened to in forever, and then you like still know every word to. You know, it's like, because for me, like Usher's My Way or something like that. Like I was like if I put that record on, or Sublime's Self-Titled, or what, you know, like those are records I grew up with as a, you know, teenager, and like they were a big part of my childhood, and like
definitely
put those on, I still could sing you the whole record and stuff.
It's fun. It really is. You know, that's like, I think, you know, a lot of when I was in middle school, it was like a lot of the pop punk was all really big, so it was a lot of Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco, and I loved Yellow Card and a lot of those bands. So it's funny now to listen to those records and be like, oh, I still know this front to back. Like I still know the track list. I still know what's coming next. So it's always funny to revisit those and be like, oh, I still have this down to a T. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
You did mention Weezer earlier, and now Yellow Card, and we kind of talked about it before we got going. But that that new SNL skit from with Matt Damon.
Yes.
Discussing Weezer. We were laughing about how spot on that was for a lot of people. But I did really appreciate that she goes. He's like, I like Yellow Card or whatever. I forget exactly how she said it, but that she wanted to bring up Yellow Card.
A funny reference. I know that SNL skit felt very targeted to me. For those of you who didn't see it, it was Leslie Jones and Matt Damon arguing about Weezer, and she was on the side of only Blue Album and Pinkerton are good. And he was saying, everything's good, all their new stuff's good. I tend to be more of a Matt Damon. I think for a while I tried to get, like, because I think the like default smart person opinion with Weezer is like, oh, Pinkerton and Blue Album's good, and then everything else is garbage. I would disagree. I like some of their new stuff. That's a band that, you know, I think when we were starting Tidal Volume, that was probably my favorite band in the world, uncontested. Yeah. So I think, you know, they've always been a band that I've paid attention to and taken inspiration from, and I've always loved Rivers' songs. And but it's funny though, because a lot of people are like, oh, the new Weezer album, I'm not even gonna listen to it, and I'm like, there's probably a couple on there that would tickle your fancy, but if you're not gonna give it a shot.
Well, that's what I did appreciate about it too. Was like, let alone it was funny, but there was that line where Matt says, he goes, "Oh, I'm stuck in 1994, and I'm not going to listen to anything." You know, and it's like there's so many people like that like they only want to live, they only want that music that they love. Then they're afraid to try anything new and stuff. And
I think so much of our relationship with music is nostalgia,
right? And
yes, they did absolutely make two perfect records back to back, and they haven't topped either since. I agree with that. But they've still done, you know, new stuff, and at the end of the day, they're still writing, you know, really simple power chord based pop songs, and no, Pork and Beans is not better than Buddy Holly, but there's still gems. I think there's interesting things on almost every of the Weezer albums that have come out since. But
I did really appreciate too that they trolled their fans. They had, I guess, them covering Africa. Was all like what I read was there was a fan that kept bothering him about on like Twitter, like, you guys should do this, you should cover this song, and then they covered Rosanna from Toto, and they put that out there as a single, like just to troll them, like they've covered the wrong song that they've been from the same band. And then they put out the Africa cover. So like I thought it
was pretty funny. It started as like a Twitter joke where it was like this account just started tweeting like Weezer cover Africa at them after like every tweet, and then people were getting behind it and like agreeing, and it became this really just big joke. But it's become a huge hit for them. Like they've charted with the cover, which is hilarious.
What's a classic song?
It's a classic song. So I have a copy of Toto's Africa on vinyl somewhere around here, the 4 album. But yeah, I think Weezer's always been about like being a fun band, and I think the fact they're this far into their career and still have the sense of humor to be like, oh yeah, we'll like give into the Twitter joke and cover Africa. Is like a pretty fun thing.
Well, then didn't Toto cover? Beverly Hills or something like that.
Toto then covered, I forget which song they covered, but they covered
or Hash Pipe or something maybe.
I think it might have been Hash Pipe, but they covered one of the Weezer songs. It was pretty funny. I feel like, you know, in this day and age, it's nice to just get those like kind of wholesome stories of like these bands are just having fun for no other reason than they're having fun. So I'm behind it.
Yeah, man. If you haven't checked that out, go click on YouTube and watch it and laugh, because it's a good one. Let's do one more in here. We did another live jam called Modern Anxiety.
Yep, that was the title track from our last EP. It's kind of a big rockin' banger on the album, but I've been playing it acoustic these days and slowing it down a bit and doing more of a kind of songwriter-y version, which is how it was originally written. So
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Seen that this was coming, don't you ever get tired of running from the truth, despite all this proof. And I've been sleeping on the pavement, I've been trying hard to fake it for my friends, and till the nausea ends. Is it supposed to feel this wrong? I'm just trying to get along, keeping my head down and pretending I am strong. I'm fooling society. Why would you lie to me? Modern anxiety. It's modern anxiety. You were crying on the porch steps, rum and cokes, and quantities to forget what happened here. But it's crystal clear. And I was too afraid to answer any of your calls. You had a second chance and you're blowing it. Is it that hard to admit that you don't know what you need and you're scared of everything? You turned your confidence off, now it's probably best you leave. You're failing sobriety. Why didn't you say hi to me? Modern anxiety. It's modern anxiety. It's modern anxiety. It's modern anxiety. Modern anxieties, it's supposed to feel this wrong. I'm trying so hard to get along. Is it supposed to feel this wrong? I'm trying so hard to get along. Is it supposed to feel this wrong? I'm trying so hard to get along.
I like that evolution of a song. You know, the fact that you can kind of start it as with just you and a guitar, and then you can kind of build it up to what people may hear on the record and stuff like that. But I love having sort of the the B-sides or whatever, type of things, like where you can have the other alternative recordings of these songs and stuff.
Yeah. I do too, and I think, I've always started with like a piano or a guitar and vocals and a pad of paper. It's kind of always where my songs start. Well, actually, that's not true. I do a lot of voice memos on my phone where I try to just like write it in my head a lot, and I'll be at work or I'll be in the car and I'll just be like humming melodies or thinking of things in my head, thinking of lines, and then if I like a lyric, I'll write it down in my notes on my phone, or if I like a melody, I'll kind of hum it or sing it in my voice memos. And then from there, I'll go home and I'll get to the piano or the guitar and get out a piece of paper and start to like really go at it. But yeah, a lot of these songs that we play as a full band just start as like a very simple acoustic guitar strumming along with some chords, and then we build it out from there and it becomes a bigger thing. But it can then be fun to like really deconstruct a song and like take it down to the simplest elements and see if, the lyrics still shine or if the melodies still shine. Right. I think that's a really good test of a song.
I think it was Emily Wallace, good friend of mine, wrote something on Facebook one day, like, if anything ever happens to me, delete all the voice memos on my phone or something like that. It's like so many, she said there, like act like there's so many bad ideas or songs on there.
For every good idea, there's 100 bad ones, right, truly. Yeah. I know, I do a lot of just like, I'll say like singular lines and later be like, oh, that's absolute nonsense. There's nothing I can do with that. But it's just what you gotta do. It's like, you gotta find those gems. It's funny, Will from Tidal Volume, who also plays in Fears, and he and a couple other friends went through all of my voicemails recently, and we just like made notes about stuff we liked or stuff that we thought was interesting. And it was funny because like everyone was like, I thought that was cool, but I need to hear more. I don't really know, but right. We were just kind of picking out like, where were the interesting things of like all this just kind of like, stream of consciousness, who knows where these melodies are coming from. They were just from my brain somewhere, whether they're from an existing song or, there are only so many melodies, but
sure.
But it's always funny because there have definitely been songs that I've written that have come from me. I remember like Don't Go by Tidal Volume was like I was walking home from a bar, hammered drunk in Colombia when I was 21 years old, and I was just like singing this melody, and I had the intelligence in my drunken stupor to pull out my phone and just sing, I'm afraid of change. And I still have that recording somewhere of like, and you can hear cars going by and stuff, but songs come from weird places, and you have to just be ready to document them before they go down, as quickly as possible.
Right. I think there was I've talked about it on here before, but there's like in that same sense, there was a story that Neil Young was telling on Stern Show a while back about like that he was in this like real bad like fever, laid up in a hospital bed, and requested a pen and paper and just started writing this stuff like, and he didn't even had no idea what he was writing because he was like delusional in this fever, and then like out of that, after he came, the fever broke and all this, and he was able to analyze what he wrote. Like out of that, it became like Cinnamon Girl and all these like all these like huge hits for him and stuff. So it's kind of crazy. Like just like you're saying, you don't know when that inspiration is going to hit, and sometimes you just got to keep up and and write.
I think a lot of being a songwriter is just being persistent and always like remembering to document. Because I think for a while when I was younger, I would like have ideas in the shower while I was at school, and it's hard to document when you're at school and you're in middle school or high school, but there those melodies would come or those lines would come, and I'd be like, oh, that's good, and then it would just poof go away. Yeah. So I try to be better. I feel like for the past couple of years I've been a lot better about like making sure I'm writing everything down, and I think phones help with that a lot. You always have your iPhone near you, it's not hard to just record a quick voice memo or to write a quick lyric down in a note. It's not super hard, but
yeah. I have another friend. Because sometimes you could lose your phone or crash or whatever. But he had a piece of advice. So his was for comedy, which is same thing. You're writing stuff down, and but he always emails himself lyrics or jokes, and so that way it's on a third party server in case your phone ever breaks and stuff. So
yeah, I keep my voice memos and my notes in the cloud now. Right. But there was a time when. Kind of before I had an iPhone, when I was, I think, a freshman in college, I still had a flip texting phone, and I was doing the same thing where that was when I was starting to really, really get into taking voice recordings or writing down lyrics in the notes on that phone. And the same thing happened where I actually like dropped it at a concert and someone stole it. Oops. And it was a cheap phone, so it wasn't like a big deal to replace, but I was like, man, there's so many ideas in there that are just gone now, and you can recover from that kind of thing, obviously, and like obviously there weren't any finished songs in my phone, probably, but you still have that sense of like, man, like there were probably some cool melodies or some cool lyrics in there that will never see the light of day now.
I was just thinking about the other side of that though, like if they took your phone and then they actually made a song and you're like, hey, that's my song.
At least it'll get used.
Right, yeah. Right.
Yeah, I assume it was probably like wiped and then sold off or whatever.
Exactly.
I think that's probably how it went down if I had to guess. But yeah, it's funny to think about. But
yeah,
I do love the idea of like losing a notebook and someone like releasing a bunch of my songs and me being like, oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah. This one's I'm dedicating this one to Zach. Thanks for the notebook. That's kind of that's like what's that like kind of back to the Future when they has that book, and he goes back and changes all the bets and stuff and all that. So you can make change history with Zach's notebook and go make new songs and stuff. So
yeah, if I go back in time, I'd probably steal Springsteen's notebook.
There you go.
Go straight for his.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Too born to run and claim it as my own.
Right. Yeah, man. He's pretty remarkable. The fact that let alone the catalog he has, but like the fact that he's still doing it, and like he looks like he's 20 years old. Like
he's the GOAT. He's the greatest.
Incredible shape and everything. But yeah,
he's who I would say is like the world's best rock star, like uncontested. He's the full package. I mean, he can play guitar, he can sing, he's a showman, and he writes killer songs. Yeah. He's reinvented himself consistently. I went to New York to see his Broadway show.
Nice.
I saved up the money and got the plane ticket, and I sat in the very last row of the theater on Broadway, but it was killer. He's just amazing.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Sounds awesome, man. Yeah. Yeah, I missed out the last time they rolled through St. Louis, and so I've never got to see him live. But
I've never seen the E Street Band actually. Yeah. It's never worked out, but I got to go see him solo. But yeah, definitely trying to see the E Street Band at some point.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe next time we can go together or something.
Hell yeah.
And go party with.
My mom will probably come too if that's okay.
All right. Well, that's the thing. My mom went last time. She
really?
She was had a friend that I guess he's kind of some kind of big shot high roller kind of thing or whatever, and she's like, he had some tickets and you want to go, and she's like, yeah, I'll go. I'm like,
there you go.
Anyway, so yeah, she got to go see the boss, and
Yeah, I think the last time they were in town was the River Tour, and I was away at school still, so I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to get home, and the tickets sold out so fast that I didn't even have time to react.
Right.
But my mom's a big Springsteen fan. I grew up listening to like the greatest hits and Born to Run and all that in the car, and she loved Born in the USA and Dancing in the Dark and those kind of dancey hits too. So I grew up listening to it, and then in high school I really dove into it once. I was kind of collecting music on my own, and I got more into like some of the more obscure albums, but he's great, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
If you haven't done a deep dive into Bruce Springsteen, it's really rewarding, I think.
Yeah. I can't hear Dancing in the Dark without thinking of Adam Sandler though, dancing on SNL and stuff, and his Bruce impression. So it's so funny to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is. I noticed you mentioned your Toto record and everything. You have a couple different boxes of vinyl around here.
Yeah, I'm a music collector for sure.
Is that one of your prized possessions, a Bruce record, or do you have?
I have a copy of Tunnel of Love, which is actually my favorite Bruce record. My brother, who's in Tidal Volume, lived with me here for a while, and he has a bunch of the Bruce records, so I didn't buy any of them because he had like Asbury Park, and I think he had like most of the early records. But currently on my Amazon wish list is the complete album collection on vinyl, which I'll hopefully get at some point.
Yeah, it's kind of fun with some. I noticed Rob Zombie just did one where like his complete record collection, and then you get all kinds of other nice things in there and weird. I think that was I forget if it was like a certain packaging on that, but like Weird Al did one with all his records where they come in an accordion, which I thought was really neat, fun idea. And then but it's cool to see like a lot of these guys are like putting their whole catalog out on remastered vinyl and everything.
It's awesome. It's a fun collector item too, because usually they do it where it comes like, I think Bruce has now 2 different volume collections that are each like 8 LPs each.
Yeah.
So it's like his first 8 albums and his next 8 albums are first 7 or next 7. And then it comes with like a big booklet. It comes with like all the like refinished art, and it comes with like all these little kind of like fun things to check out and read and writing by him, and it's always fun to look at that kind of stuff.
I think the Beatles also just redid all the newly remastered anniversary records and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm a sucker for it. I think, and it's so weird collecting music these days because for a long time I collected MP3s. But when you think about it, like having MP3s isn't that much cooler than streaming because it's, it's still just like on your computer or your phone. So I love physical media consumption. Has always been a thing I've really enjoyed.
Sure.
I collected CDs until I was still buying CDs in like 2013, 2014. I think I was kind of one of the last people still buying CDs. But since I've kind of switched to vinyl, and it's fun. It's just fun to have just like it's not sustainable to have all your music on vinyl. Like it's just not affordable. I'm sure the average person cannot afford to do that. But I do think it's fun to just kind of like I've just been slowly collecting like a lot of my favorite albums and ones that I know I'll come back to time after time again. And just kind of keeping them, so it's fun.
Most of the music I do, most of the bands I listen to a lot today are big fans of vinyl. So they put a lot of their records on vinyl. So it's cool to collect those still, and then I got a couple of them autographed by some of my favorites. So it's like. Yeah, it turns into a nice, piece of art on the wall.
Yeah, it's fun. When we played with Ludo, they actually had just pressed the "You're Awful, I Love You" album, and so I went to the merch table, though I was playing the show, and bought a copy and took it backstage, and I was like, "Will you guys sign it?"
Yeah.
So it's fun to have those kinds of things. I mean, when the world ends and the internet's gone and everyone has lost all their data, like vinyl will still be there. You know what I mean? Exactly. So. I think it's cool to have, that physical media format in some way.
I agree. Yep. I'm a big fan of let alone that, the music is tough, but you get all the art and everything that comes with it.
And you get to hold it. You don't get to hold music when you stream it.
Reading the liner notes and the pictures and everything that comes with it. So
Yeah. And I think it forces you to be a more active listener. Because when you have to, take an album out and clean it off and then put it on the turntable and then turn on the turntable and move the needle and turn the speakers on and then flip it halfway through, it forces you to be a little bit more of an attentive listener.
Right.
Whereas when you go on Spotify and you just turn on the chill beats playlist, it doesn't really challenge you to, I think, really engage with the music you're listening to. Right. And I think part of what was always, when I was growing up listening to music, I was getting a CD from the Best Buy or from Target with my mom, and then I was coming home and tearing off the shrink wrap and putting it in the CD player, and I was sitting there and listening to it, not really doing a whole lot else. I was kind of just taking it in. I think, you know, as I've gotten older, I've tried to maintain that same relationship with music where it's like exciting to get to open it up and put it in and like focus on it and tune out the rest of the world. So
definitely, yeah. I think that's something that's kind of been lost. Like you're saying, people aren't excited about sitting down, even whether it's vinyl or CD or whatever, and just listening to a record from start to finish and stuff. But
there are just so many more distractions now, and you know, there's so many playlists and things like that have totally changed our relationship with music.
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of that, it's like, you know, you still have your phone in your pocket when you're listening to music, and it's easy to just get distracted or think about something else. But it's also really nice to just sit there and. You know, I have my little setup behind you that's just like 2 really nice speakers on my turntable, and like this is my like safe space where I just sit and kind of zone out and enjoy the thing that I love. So
yeah, man, definitely. So we like I said, we just finished up a little tour with Zach solo, but you were saying going into next year we want to do more with Tidal Volume and maybe some new music coming soon.
Yep, next year's gonna be a busy year. We're putting out new Tidal Volume music. Hopefully we're going to put out a new Zach Sullentrup release with this new band, Fears, that I've been working with. We're really excited about that. I'm also playing guitar in a band called The Astounds, and I think we're releasing music and playing a lot next year. So, yeah, it's good to follow me on social media. It's Zach Sullentrup, Tidal Volume, and The Astounds across all websites. And yeah, if you're free on the 28th of December, definitely come see the show. But if not, I hope to see you at some point in the next year.
Yeah, for sure. That excuse me, I am excited, man, because like I said, that I listened to Icing all the way down here, just cruising and getting in the mood for today, and that's a really great EP, and I'm excited to hear what's next for the
thank you,
band
man.
and stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna explore some new directions. I think we've always done pretty simple pop songs that are guitar driven, but we're gonna try to shake up the formula a bit next year. But I think the people who like our current music are gonna like where it's going. But yeah, we're gonna try some new outlets. I bought more guitar pedals, which is a big move for us, because for the longest time it was always just amp on and off with maybe a little bit of reverb. But yeah we're going to be trying some new stuff this year, doing some more interesting things, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, for sure.
Keeping it fresh.
Yeah, well, again, like I said, get involved on the social media, snag a ticket to the 28th on Duck Room's website, or you can pay at the door or whatever if it don't sell out. So yeah, come on out and party with Tidal Volume. But yeah, man, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me, Shane.
It's been a lot of fun getting to know you a little better and everything. So hopefully maybe we can do it again soon with some new music. So
yeah, hope so.
All right. Well, thanks, Zach.
All right, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Well, yeah, that was it.